Hello everybody and welcome back to another Sunday video where we take a look at setups for the week ahead. I show you trades that I am in or looking to get in myself and much more. So last week, if you were watching the channel, you know I've been very short biased on gold and I caught a lot of the move last week. So in this video, some of the high level things that I want to talk about are the US dollar. I want to talk about, of course, gold, and I want to talk a little bit about the indices to see if what happened last week. There was a lot that happened. I want to talk a little bit about all three of these things, and maybe we'll also get into some currency pairs as well. But before we do, you guys know the general consensus. If you're a regular viewer, I like to start out by showing you guys my personal P&L. And so recently, here is everything that I've got for you. So this year overall has been incredible. We've seen this year be a really good year for markets in terms of like indices and that sort of thing are on the rise. So generally that is going to be an environment where I do better. And that if you know my strategy, it's because I generally am pretty bullish on indices. And so a lot of my strategies that I trade have been that way. Well, we had a tough month here in August so far. And you can see I'm actually down just shy of $29,000 in the month of August. That's almost a 4.7% loss or drawdown here on the account. And I've talked about this pretty much continuously throughout this whole month. I'm not trying to shy away from this topic by any means, but at the same time, I've been trading for a long time. I know that there are ups and there are downs, and drawdowns happen. And I'm working on a large capital basis, and so these numbers are somewhat scary. But at the end of the day, in an overall trend, you're going to have downs, and overall, as long as it's chugging up, that's all that matters. So we'll see if we can finish out August a little bit stronger here, and again on to the rest of the year, and we'll see what that holds for us. So of course, let's jump back in now to some trading setups here and talk a little bit about the latest. This past week, I actually had some really good short setups on gold. I shorted several times. So you can see pretty much along this trend line, I caught almost every single one of these trades except for this one. I didn't take this last trade, although in hindsight, I'm kicking myself because it looks perfect now. I actually did like the setup. It was just Friday, so I was like, you know what? Let me just, I've had 3 back-to-back winners. Actually, 4th if we count the euro dollar short that I took last week. It was a really, really solid week, and I'll show you where we're at. So you can see we've just had a consistent win rate recently. Gold, here was a short that we took, and then this was a short before that one. You can see there was the initial setup, and I think if we go back far enough here, yeah, we took profit on the euro. We also shorted the euro USD last week. So it was a really, really good trading week last week in terms of performance. And believe it or not, I showed you that P&L calendar. It actually came back a substantial amount due to these gold trades. I think at one point we were down like 33,000 on the month, which again, not ideal, but remember, it's a larger account size and it's going to happen. So anyways, yeah, shorted euro, looked at gold, and the question I'm sure a lot of you guys are wondering is, Nick, are you still going to be short bias on gold going into this week? And I'll show you, that I kind of am, but I want to show you something really important here. If we take a look at gold, this is something I really, really noted. This is the Commitment of Traders data. If you guys are not familiar, the Commitment of Traders data is a weekly report put out by the CFTC, which basically pulls together a lot of data from institutional traders and says, are they long or are they short? And they do that because those institutional traders have to report their holdings weekly. Well, the latest in gold shows us something very interesting that keeps my short bias alive. And I'll show you that on this table here down below. So gold has currently a pretty long overall bias. Now, what I mean by that is that if we took into account all the long contracts on the futures market and all the short contracts open on the futures market, according to big players, it would be pretty hefty to the long side. However, we've been seeing a trend of kind of form here recently the other way. And so this net change long and change short shows us, you can read it here, week to week change as COT reports are updated weekly. So the latest data that we are just getting in shows us there was a big increase in shorts. Think about what this is telling us, guys. This is telling us that institutional money this past week, they picked up a big short position on gold. And this actually dragged the ratio down. At one point, this was like 75, 80%. We're now down to 67.55. So we see institutional money seems to be kind of pushing the other direction. A slight increase in longs, but again, I think this week's focus really is on this increase in shorts. So my opinion is I am still bearish on gold. And if we go take a look at the watch list here for the EDGEFINDER, we can still see that gold is getting a -4 scoring on the tool. If you guys aren't familiar with the software that I'm looking at right now, this is my company's software. I run a software tools company for traders. We build stuff. This the tool I was just looking at is called the EDGEFINDER, and if you'd like more information about it, there will be a link down below in the description. Okay, so gold continues to be in a nice downward channel. So my opinion is that I'm going to keep playing this until it's time not to. So we're looking at the 4-hour, but I really have been executing a lot on the 1-hour chart. And when we look at the 1-hour chart, what we can see here is that we've had a beautiful retest of resistance here along this downward channel, which has just been acting perfectly. Each attempt, I sold this, and I sold this. And again, if you, trust me, I'm not making that up. You can go back and if you rewind the video and go back to the part where I was talking about the Discord alerts, you can pause the video and you can see all the different call outs that I made there. So gold actually was beautiful this past week. Do all of my trades look this way? No, but we caught several good ones riding these moves, and my goal this new week is to attempt to continue doing that as long as, of course, the fundamentals continue to look bearish, which I'll get into that in a second. But again, if we see price retest into this level of resistance, I'm actually interested in possibly taking another short setup here on gold. Now, let me just warn, I'll throw out an idea like this, but I may change my mind as to whether or not I want to take this short based on intraday candles, kind of what's going on. Also, the fundamentals, if something changes, I may not take those trades. So again, if I do take those trades, the best way to know if I did it is, of course, within our service. It is not free, but if you are interested and something like this would be helpful to, if you'd like to see the reasonings behind every trade, you can join our Discord. It is actually currently on sale. If you take a look down below in the description, there is a discount code available there for you, which will knock off a significant price of the group. So also with the software that I showed you earlier, there's also discount code for that as well. But again, that's for subscribers. Just take a look in the description for that, and you'll find it down below. It is YT VIP, YouTube VIP. You guys are VIP followers, and I do appreciate your support. Anyways, yeah, if I take a trade, you'll see it there. That's where I'm at. I'm watching this big thing. Let's talk fundamentals just for a second on, China is a big one, right? So China saw a lot of economic slowdown. Now, China is like the lead exporter of the world, right? They make everything. And if they are seeing slowdown, what that tells us about raw materials, things like copper and things like silver, which are in high demand for an economy that is exporting massively. If we're seeing that major economies start to really sink, then of course it's going to cause the commodities world to kind of fall apart. And that's kind of the trend that I've been on when talking about gold and why I've been pretty short biased. It's not just, oh, the technicals look good. Well, it's the technicals look good, but so do the short-term fundamentals. They look very, very weak for the price of gold. The other side of that is that this past week, if we take a look at the 2-year and for more currency traders, the dollar, right? The dollar has been very strong. Why is the dollar strong, everyone? Let's think about it for a second. Here's something for you to think about in terms of dollar strength. A lot of people have been kind of confused by this because interest rates are still not necessarily expected to go much higher. But there's two, when you're talking about rates, okay, this is a little fundamental lesson. By the way, can you guys do me a favor? If you enjoy fundamental tips and lessons like that kind of thing, if you do like that, can you guys do me a favor and let me know in the comments that you say like I like the fundamentals, or like I keep going with the fundamentals. Like I just want to know, because fundamentals, they do they're of course something I use in all my trading, but sometimes the audience more or less cares about them. Anyways, let me know. Rates, higher rate is one thing, but the other thing that we have to think about is a longer elevated interest rate environment. And that is what is really kind of driving the dollar higher. It's not necessarily that they think rate hikes are going higher, right? In fact, there's little expectation for interest rates to continue higher. It's more so that they think now that we've raised all these rates, now, with the economy showing some strength, right? The US dollar is, of course, strengthening off of good GDP numbers, and, we'll get some more stuff out of PMIs this week. But the main idea is, there's a lot of economic strength. These interest rates might not come down anytime soon. And high interest rates for an extended period of time are now causing a lot of bullishness on the bond yield market, which of course drives the dollar higher as well. So again, let me know if you want more fundamental comments like that. But again, that's the explanation that I have. At least that's what I see as to what's driving the dollar so strong. Now we're at resistance for the dollar. This is a daily chart, and I'm watching this here this week to see if we break out. What would cause this to break out? I mentioned it earlier, PMIs. On Wednesday, I believe we get PMIs out of the United States. We also get it from Europe, which is a very important measurement of kind of the economic output of these various economies. And so if PMIs are good, if they're very strong, possible we see the pop above for the dollar. Now, what does this tell me? Well, if the dollar, if I see that we could, now I'm not predicting what's going to happen with that, because again, it could disappoint, and I'm not a fortune teller. I don't know what PMIs are going to bring. But the fact that we're in this uptrend and sentiment is pretty much, U.S. economic strength is very, very resilient. I'm looking for breakouts, and that breakout, how am I going to play that? Again, I showed you, I'm going to look to be short gold at opportunities that look good to my strategy. So again, like I said, if you want the call outs that I'm taking, I'll be sharing them in Discord. So just keep an eye on that one. If you're already a member with us, heads up, I will probably be trading gold a good bit this week. I'm still kind of holding off on trading the indices. I'll show you guys the indices and where we're at with this. Here's the S&P 500. The S&P 500 has been trending lower, right? I am bullish indices pretty much all the time when technicals start to go well, but right now that is not the case. You can see sellers are just in control of this market, and with all that dollar strength I just talked about, it's spooking the markets. And so I am not buying indices at this time. In fact, if anything, this does look short term like it's going to roll over and keep going down. But if it does start to break out and we see something change with that narrative of the dollar, perhaps weaker PMI numbers or some softening from outlook from the Federal Reserve or federal committee members, perhaps I'll start looking at the indices a little closer. But I'm not rushing to get long on the indices despite the recent dip. If you're longer term, some of my longer term options trading stuff, I've been taking this opportunity as an opportunity to start building a position. If you're familiar with options, I'm selling puts, I'm selling covered calls on some things. So I am still trading the indices, which is a large component of what I do in my my trading account. I do a lot of options. I just don't talk about them as much on YouTube because my channel isn't really focused on options. But if you are interested in options, those alerts do also get sent inside of the group. I'll show you that. Just if you made it this far in the video, we're what, 13, 14 minutes. I share all of my options alerts as well to members. We do have some options traders in the community, and options are something that I love. So you can see I made 120 here, 366 here. It's a very cool way to make pretty consistent income. But these trade alerts, if you guys are interested in the option alerts, I reach out to us. I'm not necessarily known on social media by any means for options trading. I'm not buying puts and calls. I'm mostly on the sell side of options, if you're familiar. So yeah, definitely reach out if you're interested in the options alerts. But the S&P 500 still looking bearish. Watching for breakouts here. Nasdaq, same thing, very, very weak. Dow, same thing. I could even draw that same exact parallel channel here, this downward trend, right? So we're really struggling to find any major bullishness there. Take a look at some currency pairs. The euro has a similar channel going on. If we could get a breakout, that would be, significant for euro bulls. But right now, like I said, dollar strength, I would bet more heavily on the downside to the euro. We also see fundamental factors pretty heavily leaning for the dollar right now. So what I mean by that is take a look right here. We have some economic figures, interest rates, unemployment, inflation, GDP. What the EDGEFINDER's algorithm does is it pulls in all the data for these things, GDP growth, inflation figures, CPI, and we're actually incorporating core CPI in there as well to make the algorithm a little more intelligent. The algorithm takes in all of these factors and it calculates a bias for the underlying asset that we're talking about. So if we're talking about, the CAD JPY or gold or UK 100 or pound USD, it takes in these things and then we have scripted an algorithm or a calculation to build a bias for each metric. So quick example would be Euro USD. Let's actually go look at Euro USD in depth. So if you're somebody who is trading the Euro and you say, I would like to, take a look at, cross-examining these two things, right? Of course, we have the chart where we can look at technical setups and we can, look for pullback plays and things like that. But on top of the technicals, we can also pull up the EDGEFINDER's reading on this and get an idea of what it's saying. So we are currently getting a -7 score. And if you don't understand what that -7 score is representing, it is a calculation of all of these different components to the algorithm. So if we take a look at COT data is kind of bullish for this currency pair because right now, if we look at COT, 76% long on the euro, only 57% long on the dollar. So clearly that would be more favoring the euro than it would be the dollar. So that actually gets us a bullish reading there. But if we take a look at the rest, everything else is pretty bearish. Retail sentiment is mixed. There's not really a clear direction that retail is trading in. If we take a look at seasonality, the month of August is slightly negative, but look at September. September is historically a negative month for the euro dollar. Trend reading is pretty clear to the downside. We have an algorithm that basically, computes kind of a trend projection. GDP growth shows that Europe's GDP growth recently is weak, whereas the US's is pretty dang strong. So that gets us a -1 because again, we're saying we don't want the euro, we want the US dollar. Okay, US dollar looks strong there. Inflation, right? Let's do inflation. Inflation shows us that if we take a look, inflation is hot in Europe and much cooler in the US right now. So that shows us that this is likely to cause the ECB to need to continue raising rates and staying more hawkish. So that's going to drive the currency higher, right? So the software has already automatically taken that information and said, okay, -2 there. Unemployment, much stronger in the US than in Europe. So that's of course going to give us a -1. And finally, interest rates are higher in the US, which make the currency more attractive. That's another -1, saying sell the euro, buy the dollar, right? That's the concept. That's how we break down the algorithm that you guys are seeing here. But all of that is done automatically. So the euro does look like a sell opportunity in my personal view, as well as what the EDGEFINDER is showing us here. Of course, is this right 100% of the time? Absolutely not. But it gives us enough extra confirmation that if you have a technical strategy that you already like, this is why we have so many people buying copies of the tool, is because people are able to incorporate it with their strategy and build much better insights before they're taking trades, right? If you think about it, if this were to help you find just, improve your trading by just like 10-20%, it would be massively worth it, which is why, again, we've had a lot of success launching the product. Like I said, if you do want access to it, if you want to try it out for yourself, if you would like to get a copy, all of that information will be down below in the description. With that code that I mentioned, YTVIP, the smart money tracker is included, the retail sentiment, bank signals, the watch list, which again shows the algorithm broken down, signals for all the different assets and pairs. And yes, it is a one-time payment. So we don't do monthly subscriptions. We don't do anything like that. You just buy it and then you have it, and then you're supporting the project. For us, we raise the money to help build future editions and all the different maintenance costs that we have, the staff behind the scenes, and yeah, that's just that's just a little behind the scenes for people who care. But yeah, that's it's been a big project for us and we've really enjoyed doing it. Anyways, the euro looks interesting. Let's take a look at the pound USD. I know this one was very range bound this past week, and it does still seem to be in that kind of direction. I've mentioned this. I think I'm probably going to wait for some sort of key breakout on the pound before really getting interested or involved there. Dollar yen, really, really strong, right? Price retests could be interesting off the 4-hour chart. You've got this retest of support, right? You could probably get lower time frame than that and look for opportunities in there. Again, I think bullish overall. This past level of resistance could actually turn into support. And let's see, is the dollar yen getting a bullish reading? It is bullish +5, so it's getting a 5 when looking at all the different factors. Dollar Swiss is also up there. A lot of dollar strength. Dollar CAD is actually one of the hottest. Dollar CAD. This one has been calling for a bullish setup the last few weeks. And look at this hourly. This hourly actually looks great in my opinion. Nice clean upward channel, right? Love to see these sorts of moves. You know, and some people like to trade the breakdown of these moves, like something like this, right? And you could totally wait for those opportunities, but for me, I'd like to just trade the channel that exists until it no longer exists, right? So I like this as a possible pullback, you know, a support level here could be interesting. And I may just get that opportunity to kind of just join this move. And as long as we don't break support there, I could try and stay in that move and try and trail stops as I, you know, usually do with the trades that I'm taking. So there's USDCAD. Aussie dollar is another interesting one. So if I take a look here, here's the Australian dollar, very bearish on this one, right? So just extend this. Things have been moving very, very clean recently on dollar crosses, which I've really liked. Possibly a retest up into this resistance. This is of course a 1 hour chart. So, you know, it's more for the shorter term traders, but the hourly is probably my favorite one to execute on. So we'll keep tabs on this one and watch it close. And that is going to probably wrap it up for me, guys. If you did enjoy today's video, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button. Remember, you can join us here inside of the VIP group or the EDGEFINDER. Both have discounts down below in the description using that code YTVIP if you want access to the COT data or access to our Discord alert. And also, you can actually bundle both of them. You'll see that option when you get to the landing page. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you have a great week ahead, and we will see you back on the next one.